What are you afraid of? For me, something I'm still trying to work through and get better with is my fear of burnout. And this is something that has been plaguing me for a long time, especially in school. Because whenever it came time to study, whenever it came time to do homework, one of the reasons I would procrastinate is because in my head I would be like, oh, well, if I start studying, if I study for an hour, or if I study for too long, I'm gonna get tired and I won't be able to keep studying. And so then I'm gonna get tired and I'll burn out, and then I'm not gonna study for a couple hours, and then I'm going to be behind. So instead of risking this burnout, I would always figure, oh, why don't I just study for like 15 minutes, but I'll study in a couple hours after I've had time to relax and chill and take things easy. And one thing I came to realize was having this mindset towards burnout is really just, in a way, it's avoiding the unavoidable, because ultimately, whenever you're doing anything, you may not necessarily burn out, but you're going to get tired. Just as in, if you're at the gym, if you work out, you're going to get tired at some point when you're working out. And what do when you get tired? You take a break, you rest for a minute or two, whatever, and then you jump back into your set. And it's the same thing with getting tired when you're studying. And that's why you study for a little bit, give yourself a little break, get up, stretch, and then study again. And for the longest time, I just could never connect the two. Whenever I was tired and I was working out, I always looked at that as such a separate idea and entity in and of itself. And I really just had to realize at the end of the day, they're really the same thing. When you get tired working out, you rest and pick it back up. When you get tired when you're studying, you rest and you pick it back up. And what I also had to come to the realization of is having this mentality is just terrible for self-progression and getting better, because whenever you're in your head thinking about, oh, if I do this, I'm gonna get tired, or if I do this, I'm gonna get tired, you're so much less likely to do it. If every time you had to go to the gym, you just psyched yourself out and you're like, oh, this is gonna be such a hard workout, I'm gonna be so tired, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of bed the next day, then of course you're not gonna want to go to the gym, because you've already told yourself how hard it's going to be, how dreadful of an experience it's going to be the next day. And the same thing with studying. I would always look at studying as this thing that's going to be so difficult that it's just going to take a lot of work and a lot of mental energy and a lot of my mental space. Whereas that's what really builds character. And it's kind of crazy, because I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, it's crazy how if you're like watching TV, for example, if you have a day off or whatever, and you're just eating, chilling, watching TV, you still get tired doing that. Where in your mind, you might be like, oh, like I'm just resting, I'm not doing anything crazy. But it's like if you sit down watching TV for 3 hours on end or whatever the case may be, you're still going to feel tired, even though in reality you didn't do anything mentally or physically exhausting or draining. And having that realization was huge for me, because I was just like, wait a second, if I get tired, if I'm going to get tired anyway, whether I'm being productive or not being productive, I may as well be productive, because at least if I get tired from being productive, I get that great feeling and that rush of knowing that I did something that was extremely useful and something that my future self is going to thank me for. Whereas if I just keep getting tired from just watching TV and just binging Netflix all the time, that's not going to be as rewarding of a feeling. And so that's why whenever people are like, oh, take care of yourself, you come first and take things easy, I totally understand that. If you're putting in a lot of work, you're putting in the time, you're putting in the effort that you need to be successful. But at the same time, it's like, well, if all you're doing is just hanging out and relaxing and resting, and you're not working hard towards something because you're afraid of this burnout, then having that mentality can be so toxic, because it's like, well, you've just been resting for the past couple weeks binging Netflix, and it's like, well, how is continuing to binge Netflix and not trying to do anything productive, how is that going to be good for your mental? And so with all of that, that was how I feel like I've really been trying to get out of that space and that mindset of being afraid of burnout, and instead just working hard. And at the end of the day, you can look back on the day and know that, okay, I put the time in, I did what I needed to do, I got things done, and now I'm tired and I'm going to rest, but that was well deserved. I earned that. And yeah, you guys, so I hope you guys found it helpful. I've been putting off recording for a while, but I'm definitely trying to get back on that grind now of putting out content, because I have a ton of ideas that I want to get out to you guys. And if you guys enjoyed this content, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.